Hi, this is Elaine Starling. I'm the host of Why 5% Succeed, the show where we talk to leading entrepreneurs and small business owners about how they're making a massive difference in their business, and you can too. Well, I've got a fabulous guest today, and I'm going to use somebody else's words. In fact, I want to quote New York Times best-selling author and one of the world's top transformational leaders. Her name is Janet Bray Atwood. You probably know her really well. Here's what she had to say about my guest, Runa Magnúsdóttir, in 2010. She said, "Watch out for Runa. She's got that extra wow factor to become one of the world's leading motivational speakers, supporting people to unleash their passions and live their full potential." Well, it's only 4 years later, and this same Runa has multiple awards from throughout Europe. And she's a branding expert, a speaker and strategist who works with heart-centered professionals worldwide, helping them to clarify and brand their own X factor so they can reach their full potential. Well, Runa just published her first book, Branding Your X Factor, how the secret to success is already right in front of your... I'll let Runa tell you about that. Well, it just came out last week, and already international media like the Huffington Post has picked up the book, and they've given it rave reviews. I got to tell you this one. The report from Huffington Post is the prediction is that branding your X Factor will be a staple for business owners, along with books such as Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. For any business owner or inspiring entrepreneur, branding your X Factor is a remarkable gift. It's no wonder I'm incredibly excited to have the opportunity to interview Runa today and learn more about her and her concept, personal branding and branding your X Factor. Runa, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Elaine. It is my honor. It's simply my honor to be part of a show that has this title, Why 5% Succeed. Very intrigued, and I need to learn more from you.
Well, first I'm going to turn the tables and talk about you because you've got some incredibly great concepts. I was spellbound. I read the entire book, cover to cover, didn't put it down. I wrote tons of things in my journal. You recommend that we journal, and I took all sorts of notes. But I got to ask you, why this book and why right now?
Great question. Why this book? Well, I'll tell you, Elaine, I think this world today that we are living in is screaming for authenticity and transparency. And I think that following the economic crash that well, most of us actually went through back in 2008, and my country, Iceland, was really badly damaged from that. We basically had to figure out from scratch, who are we? I mean, we had to do that as a nation. And as individual, of course, that's what we had to do. And I think when you stand on this crossroads, when you have really lost everything and you have to figure out, well, who am I really? What is it really that I stand for? What is it that I really desire in this life? If you can represent that in your business, if you can show that authenticity, that the transparency of who you authentically are, it's not only going to make you a stronger and better business owner, it is also going to give you that instant trust, that thing that we are all, as business owners, we're all seeking our clients to trust us, that we deliver as we promise that we are going to deliver. And so I really see a win-win-win effect in this. And I just think it's really important that we start to pay attention to the, not only everyone saying to us, oh, don't worry, just be yourself, which is a phrase you probably have heard many times.
Oh, yeah.
And you hear that and you thought, oh yeah, sure, I'm just going to be myself. And then you go, wait a minute, so how do I do that? So that was really the reason why I wanted to write this book. I wanted to give people the tool that they could go through to discover what is already right there. right in front of their tits, as I say, which is my mythology. It could be your nose, your eyes, or whatever. For me, it's your tits.
They tend to stick out a little further. So yeah, you might bump into something first, a little lower down. Well, yeah. I also need to ask you, because X factor is one of the distinctions in your book. You have coined the term the X factor. I want to understand, what do you mean by X factor, and why is that X factor so important?
First of all, just to clarify, if there are anyone out there who think that they do not have an X factor, I want to clarify, you do have an X factor. Every single one of us has an X factor. That is already something that makes you you, and it is that secret sauce, it is that secret thing that is so special, because it's combination of your story, of your skills, of your knowledge, of your attributes, of how you look at life, of how you communicate yourself. That's when you take all of that together, bah, we have an X factor. And nobody has that same X factor.
That is really huge. You know, I want to just reframe what you just said, because I heard something as you were saying that. I heard you say that every single person has a unique promise that they deliver just by being who they are, and being able to articulate the promise of who you are and what your clients get to experience by working with you is really profound, and it sets you apart. That differentiation that every business needs desperately, that's the X factor that you're really talking about.
Yeah, that's really what it is, and that's why I think it's such a huge opportunity out there. By branding that, by showcasing that, it is instantly not only going to, like I said before, it's not only going to give you clarity on who you are, but it's going to give you that the thing that it's instantly going to say, okay, I want to go to this person for whatever service she or he is offering, because I like her or I like him. Because we humans, we do business, we do buy from other people that we know, that we like, and that we trust. So a strong brand is always going to stand out, and when we stand out, it also means that we're very clear that what we do for someone and what we will never do. The clarity needs to be on both ends. So by being a strong brand, and this is actually what most people come into the stage of right or being afraid, is that they think, well, what if nobody likes me? What if what happens if I'm really going to be myself, if I'm really going to build my business and just step wholeheartedly into it this way? What if nobody likes you? And, well, my personal phrase, when I went through this thought process myself, with the internet and everything, when the huge amount of market space that we are living in today, I asked myself, wow, okay, Runa, there are 7 billion people on this planet. There's got to be someone who likes me. I seriously, this is how I think. And then I thought, okay, that makes sense. Then I'm actually going to, for the ones who do want to be part of what I can offer, who do want to open themselves up and explore their own opportunities there, I'm here. For the ones who are not ready, I will empower them, and I will do whatever I can to make their life better, but I guess they will come to me when they are ready.
Runa, you said another thing that's really important that I want to emphasize here. If you're worried about the marketplace liking you and really getting you and understanding your X factor, you've got to be prepared to communicate it clearly, concisely, and compellingly. And that's what I loved about your book. You really provide the exercises, the internal questions. It's concise, it's tight, tangible, and titillating. I love it. You just did a fabulous job on this book. But I want to go on to another question because I have lots of questions for you. So
Okay.
what are the 3 most important things that you want people to remember about their X Factor, about their own brand?
Oh, that is a beautiful question. Number 1, always remember that you have an X Factor. That is absolutely the key thing, and get to know that one. And when I say get to know your X Factor, I'm really talking about that you embrace that. You start to accept, not only to accept it, but you start to value who you truly are. When you go to that place and you are ready, you're actually, I know this is a step-by-step process. So the next step is to say, okay, I'm going to take that one step that's going to allow myself just to see if I open up just slightly more and I see, give slightly more of who I authentically am. And I'm just going to give a peek and see how it goes. You are on your way. And then the next step. So it's a step-by-step process. And I'm telling you from my own experience because I've really been there. I've really been there. And every single day I have to think about, how can I be really as authentic and true to myself so that I can be the role models of others who want to go that way. So I already did 2. I'm going to go for the 3rd one. Sorry about that. The 3rd one is take action today. In a world that is screaming for authenticity, be there. Just go for it. Decide on these little baby steps that you can already take. And then get a coach, go into a mastermind group, get a mentor, do all of these things that are not necessarily so expensive or so difficult. They're all around you. All of these people are there. Every resource that you need is already there. So do it.
So I know you work with a lot of different entrepreneurs around the world, and you have seen all the biggest mistakes. What would you say is the biggest mistake that people keep bumping into again and again and again? What is that massive mistake that we all need to avoid?
Being a copycat. Being looking at someone who has done something and it's remarkable and thinking, I'm going to do exactly the same. That's the beauty. And I actually want to, this might sound maybe like, oh my God, you mean I have to figure this out all by yourself? Well, I'm telling you, you're so unique. And however you became who you are today, it's really up to you to figure out what's the best way for you to take that action. So being a copycat will not exactly make you different. You're just going to copy something that someone else did that was successful for him. So that's why I say discover that X factor, discover who you are. Don't go into the thing of thinking, oh yeah, she did it that way, and that's why I'm going to do it this way. Oops, that was my dog.
So Runa, I've got another important question for you. And I know that you go into this in detail in your book, but could you just give us the highlights? What's the secret to discovering what your X factor really is?
It is, I think, the core part of you, and the secret there is something that is really deep inside you. It's your values. It's when you really know your values and you honor your values, that's really the cornerstone of basically everything that you will be doing. And what I've noticed, and I just think this is, the more that I dig into this, the more that I see people out there who are doing it and are not only staying true to their own values, because what happens when we stay true to our values is that we start to value other people's values. And that's when we start to open up for other people's X factors. And as a business owner, when we are dealing with our team, when we are building up our team, knowing our team's X factor and allowing our team's X factor to shine is something that is going to make our life so much easier. So it has a ripple effect, this little secret. So this, combined with loving wholeheartedly what you're doing, is going to give you deep insight into your X factor, your values, and your purpose in life.
That is so well said. I am so blown away by your mission and your vision of what you're trying to do with the X Factor, and I just really am impressed with this. So what are some surprising ways that we can actually leverage our X Factor and put it in practice?
What's going on right now at Facebook is a little challenge that a few of my friends and myself, we started following the publishing of my book. We call it the X Factor challenge. And what people are doing there, which is actually one of the things that you can do instantly to discover your own X Factor, they are going to they're posting on their Facebook site a simple question. They're saying, I'm taking the X Factor challenge. I want to figure out, what do you see? What do you guys see as my X Factor? And they're even tagging a few of their friends to get their input, and their friends are then asking, they get curious, ooh, so what do other people see in me? And I can tell you, Elaine, I just watched few of these things, from people around me, and it is so rewarding to see. I can just see the smiles on people's faces when they realize what people are seeing in them. We don't often talk about that, do we?
Not nearly enough. The problem is you live with yourself every day, and so you take yourself for granted. And getting that outside perspective is incredibly profound. I started doing that, and I'm definitely going to join the X Factor Challenge, because that is a brilliant, brilliant idea. Kudos for coming up with that.
Thank you. And that's really what I want to see. I really want to see that the whole thing, the outcome, what will this little book of mine is going to give to this world. I really want to see people accepting themselves, people stepping into their own leadership, people going out there understanding that this life is so precious that they should do every single thing that they can do to make their dreams come true. They should know what they want to do, and they should talk about what they want to do. Because what I've found out, that when every single time I've mentioned something that I want, there's always someone around me who reaches out and supports me. What at the same time, I've also noticed with people around me that for some reason they're not telling others what they want. So in return, nobody knows it. And it sounds
you've hit on one of the biggest challenges that especially women business owners have, because we're told we have to hold it all together. We have to hold down a job, we have to grow a business, we have to take care of the family, we have to handle the shopping, we got to clean the house, we got to do it all, right? And we're so used to taking it on, all of it on, we're not good at asking for what we want. And sometimes it's not, hand out. We're looking for a hand up. We're looking for collaboration, for people to share the load with us. And I love your perspective on that.
and that's when we talk about us women in this section, it is built in our DNA to collaborate, to show emotionally, be emotionally intelligent and use our emotions. We have every single thing that we need already built inside of us. But because of whatever the culture or whatever we brought up with or however we decided to look at ourselves, we are holding ourselves back. And I think that once we as women start to understand that and we just openly start to collaborate on that one thing that we want to do together, so that really the power of minds come together. Wow, we can move mountains.
Absolutely.
And we know what we see, our foremothers, what they did, and they didn't have half of a fraction of all the things that we have today, meaning technology and way of living and all that. Yeah.
Oh, we have unprecedented resources now that have never been available before in history. And so it's a matter of reaching out and using those resources. And that really leads me into my next question. Obviously, a lot of people listening to this are blown away by the whole concept of they have an X factor. It's pretty straightforward to figure out what their X factor is, and it will hugely differentiate them in the marketplace once they start using their X factor effectively. What can they do right now while they're watching the show to get started discovering their X factor?
Well, apart from the Facebook challenge, they can simply start right now. Well, let's just say if they're in the workplace right now, ask their colleague. If tonight when they're having dinner with their family, make it a discussion. What do you see as my X factor? And share, I see as your X factor is this and this and this. Talk about it with their children, with their spouse, with their co-workers, who start the conversation. And make it fun and make it interesting. And this is the thing that this can be so much fun, and this can be so giving. It can bring conversation at the dinner table to a whole nother level. The thing is, it's so simple. Can you see how simple it is?
I absolutely can see how simple it is, and it's so funny. We're so used to making things harder than they need to be. Often we back away. We think, oh, well, it's simple, it's easy, then it means it doesn't matter. But in reality, I love what you're saying about making this a game, make it playful, and ask people, what are 3 words that you think really describe me? Or what are 3 words that really describe my product or my service? And just see what they have to say and let the conversation flow. Don't judge it, just enjoy it.
I like what you say there. Don't judge it. Very important. So when someone shares to you what they see as your X factor, take it. Embrace it. Think about, oh wow, think about what does that mean? And here's another thing, another take on that. If you start to really pay attention to this, and let's say this is a game and you're getting more than 1 or 2 points of views, try to or look at the things that are similar. What are people saying that is very similar? And I can tell you, those are the things that other people then generally see in you. That's your X factor there. And here comes the very, very big thing. Sometimes we need to use our X factors to the fullest and really use it. But there are times when we don't actually need as much. I'll give you an example. You probably, well, I'm just guessing, but what most people say to me is that I'm powerful, that I'm strong. That's what a lot of them say. I'm creative. Those are the things that people say often to me. Well, I can tell you, Elaine, those are the things that I am. This is just what I am. However, I don't always have to be. I don't always have to be so powerful. Sometimes I need to lower my strength to give space to those who are not as powerful. Because I can be over powerful to other people. So when I know this is my strength, this is my X factor, I can start to play with it. Now I really need it. Now I really don't. So you probably heard the phrase that your weakness or your strength grows out of your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
You can phrase that another way. Your weaknesses grow out of your strength.
That is so good. You're getting so many great sound bites in here. Your weakness grows out of your strength. That is a real light bulb for me. Thank you for sharing that. That was huge. Okay, so I know you said we should never copy what other people are doing. Don't try to emulate what other people are doing, because you have your own core values. And in order to be authentic, you need to be following your own core values in everything that you do. But what is one simple thing or one critical thing that we should never do? Besides not copying people, what's one thing we just don't do it? Just don't go there.
Well, strangely enough, when you ask me this question, the first thing that pops up in my mind is to think, oh, this applies to everyone else. She's not talking to me. I am talking to you. I am talking to people who want to be happy. So I know that's very general. I have been especially talking to entrepreneurs, small business owners, because I think they can grow their business from this. But of course it has to do with their life as well as their business life. And at the end of the day, don't we all just want to be happy?
So what's one simple thing that we can do that will help us use our X factor effectively?
I use this little habit, and I often talk about it when I'm speaking and when I'm training people worldwide. And that is the core thing about branding, because branding is really about creating that feeling that we leave behind when we're no longer in the room, and that is your brand. Jeff Bezos from Amazon said it really, really powerfully, exactly this. And there's another great person who just recently passed away, Maya Angelou, who said, people will forget what you said, they might forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So starting the day by having the ritual, so asking yourself, what is the feeling that I want to leave behind in other people's minds today? What is the feeling that I want other people to feel when they are surrounding me today? Just thinking that thought and creating a little action plan in your head. What is it? How do I create that feeling? And I'm telling you, you will get that back. It can be the big thing and it can be the small thing.
I need to ask you, what is one of those secrets that the pros know? Because I know you're a branding pro, but a lot of us aren't. Share one of those key secrets that we just really need to know.
There are so many, and at the same time, so few. With the concept of everything is right there in front of your tits, just go ahead, take a look. Look what's there. And the main secret, when you're looking there, and I'm telling you, I'm telling you, every single time I ask myself, when I feel that I am stuck, or I'm feeling things are not exactly happening as I wanted it to happen, I step back and I ask myself, okay, Runa, so what is it that is right now, right in front of my tits, that I'm not seeing? And I just hold it there. And do you know what? Within moments, an aha comes up in my mind. Of course, I can do this, or of course, it doesn't have to be so complicated. I already have it. Of course, there is someone that I can talk to who can help me out. Of course, there is something out there that is just right in front of me, and I thought that I had to do something that was somewhere way ahead, and it would take me months and weeks and God knows what. No, it's right there. It's right there. I just choose not to see it.
That is so profound, and it's so true, because when you're grasping at something, sometimes it's really hard to see what that is. But if you allow it to show up and you relax into it, it's just right in front of your face, staring you in the eyes.
Well, it's right there. It's right there. And then, you know, I often talk about the similarity with this, and when you lose your car keys, you are on your jaw trying to find it, and nothing happens. It's just not there. And then you decide you're just gonna skip taking the car and take the bus today, and it's right in front of you, right? You find it. It's exactly the same thing. So next time you think that things are difficult, things are not as they should be, it's because you're trying too hard. And it's something that is so much easier, that is just waiting for you. You're just not paying attention.
That is so great.
Next time, ask yourself this question.
That's really good, because it's so true. We make things a lot harder than they need to be. It's just the truth. Okay, so I would love to have you take a quick minute to teach us about a hidden problem or hidden challenge that a lot of people are facing, and that's why they're struggling to figure out what their X factor is.
A lot of people are struggling with their X factor. That's true. What to do? We took a few steps there. What to do? Ask your network. Look ahead. You know, listen to what people are saying. Check what's in front of your tits. You know, all of these little things that you can do already. What most people tend to do, and I understand why they do it, but they tend to do it, and I think this is where they need to correct themselves. When you are, and now I'm going to talk into businesses, and you're a small business owner, you're an entrepreneur, and you want your brand, your business brand, as well as your brand to really shine. Be personal. Be personal in the things that you're doing. Just this little thing, like on your website, when you have About Us or about the About section, don't just have a picture of a field or buildings or a logo. Have pictures of you and your team. Have little blurb about who you are. I mean, if this team is a goofy team, allow the goofiness to show. If there's something that you have, you're a nerd with baking bread out of spelt wheat or whatever, put that blurb there, because the moment someone sees you, and it really doesn't matter what type of a field you're in, you could be a lawyer. Can you imagine what a beautiful lawyer would be who would have about me something about I collect golf balls, something that would be so goofy, but still for someone who is also interested in golf, who said I'm gonna go and contact that lawyer because I feel there's a similarity between us. We can at least between dry law talk, we can talk about golf. So that's what I mean by be personal. Find that little thing that makes you and makes your team who they are. It just instantly becomes so much more attracting. And with how the whole marketing with the internet and the relationship marketing that is growing faster than we can even think about, and how you have to engage with your both current and future clients online all the time, this helps. So all of this helps to create the relationships that are going to be sustainable, the relationship that is going to be actually something that you will build your business on, and the relationship is going to give you return on your investments. So it is critical. It's absolutely critical. How do we make sure that you can succeed, or how can you make sure that you don't fail? Can't be sure that you don't fail. It is what it is. However, I think that with the right mindset and with the right attitude towards the failing part, you can use that failing part as a stepping stone to create the success that you always dreamt of. Saying that, and this is actually something that just pops up in my mind when you're saying this right now, I think it's also extremely important for us to clarify in our own minds what is success for me. Because if I don't know what is success for me, I'm doing something that I think is a success to others. And it doesn't really matter. What matters is what makes you feel successful. So, and again, those are the little tiny bits. I'm so glad that you have your journal, Elaine, and you're starting to write your journal, because every single day you can write something that you're happy with. And if that day was pretty lame, when you stop just for a little while and you think about what is it, I sometimes say in my mind, so where is that freaking gift in this day? And just yeah, don't you agree? Sometimes we just don't feel there is this gift. Where is the gift in this? and it arrives, and I can then, because our mind is so powerful, I can say, oh wow, I am so grateful that I actually had the opportunity to experience this, because now I know how to deal with that. Or now I know how not to deal with it because I felt that I didn't do it right. So next time I'm going to do this. So it is a gift. It is a gift. And again, these little baby steps, they might not look big, but they are the steps you have to take.
Excellent. So there's a lot to cover in your book, Finding Your X Factor. What are 3 key important things that we need to remember about your X Factor and finding your X Factor?
3 things that I would encourage everyone who's listening to this to do instantly, today. Number 1, start to work on your X Factor. Start to discover your X Factor. Number two, get someone to help you identify it if you can't do it by yourself. And you know what? Most of us can't do it by ourselves. So get someone, even a friend, to help you out there. Number three, give yourself the time to think about how you want to communicate your X factor so it becomes crystal clear to the ones who are around you that they know who you are, they know what you stand for, they know where you're heading, and they know when they can reach you, in what situation. When you do that, and it sounds very easy to say that. I know this is it takes a lot of time, but it's time really well spent. Then you have pitch that you can put on your LinkedIn page that is crystal clear to the ones who are looking for your talent or looking for your service. Then you have pitch that you can pitch on your About Me or About Us site place on your website. You have pitch that you can talk about and tweak about when you go to all of these networking things. You basically have something that is just become so crystal clear that you can start to position yourself in the marketplace as the person that you want to see yourself as in the future. Because no one else is going to position yourself there except you.
So, Runa, what is the most important thought that you'd like to leave us with today?
The most important thought? I shared so many great ones, I think. The most important thought is you're enough. The most important thought is I am enough. What is within you is truly something special. Don't you ever think that it isn't so. Don't you ever think that you are not worth it. Today, we live in a world that is screaming for authentic, transparent businesses and leadership. Be the role models in other people's lives. Be the role model for your children to step into their role, to be one of the leaders, the future leaders who are going to be known for authenticity, transparency, and a good, honest human being.
Fabulous. Well, I think Runa is giving small business owners and entrepreneurs a chiropractic adjustment to their business, because too often we get out of alignment between our core values and what we're trying to actually implement in the world through our businesses. And when you get out of that integrity, work becomes a whole lot more difficult, more challenging, more frustrating, and a lot less successful. So Runa does a great job at helping you identify your X factor, implement that in your business right away so that you attract the right people and you show up in true authenticity and integrity. People can tell the difference, and it's amazing how your business expands exponentially when you've got the right X factor in place. Runa, clearly you are a lady who takes action and makes things happen. I gotta ask you, what is your next big dream?
My biggest dream is to see the X factor grow. My biggest dream is to see that this methodology will be something that all of us are used to use. And my biggest dream is that corporations out there who truly want to make an impact into the world of small business owners and entrepreneurs, they will step into this and they will use their own magical power to bring that X factor ripple effect into the world.
So Runa, tell me, what made you sit down and write this fabulous book, Finding Your X Factor?
The core reason why I started this was simply because I noticed that people were saying to me, how can you be so authentic? How do you manage to be so authentic? And I saw, basically, then I started to look at, okay, so what brought me to this place? What brought me to this place that we are in today? And I saw that there were several things that just did that. And I thought to myself, when people are struggling with finding who they authentically are and making that part of their business as well, how can I be of service to them? And I had, I mean, this is what I've been doing in my trainings, in my seminars, and my basically what I've been doing in for the past 7 years. So by just thinking about, okay, what are those steps? How did I discover that? How did I do this? I started to write that down. And I started to think, okay, if I can create some sort of a step-by-step process that people can use, ask themselves, see how does that apply to them? And they can go into a simple process, like my 5-step process to create and sustain your brand. They would also actually have something that wouldn't be too difficult. So that was the core thing. Another thing that is really a personal thing for me as well, that made me do this book, is that I'm seeing too often people being judged from the gender, from the race, from their education, from the background. And I often see that people are not giving the chance, the opportunity, because they might not have the education, or they might not have the background, but they really have all these skills, and they have natural talents, and I thought to myself, okay, I feel often that the world is not using to the fullest the natural talents that are inside of all of us. Businesses are not using the natural talent in their employees as they could. We're simply not used to it. So instead of, I wanted to give some sort of I want to see a world that is not just full of cubicles and people being like in a factory. I wanted to see a world that is creating opportunities, that are giving sustainability, that are opening up to different talents and accepting different talents and skills. So all of these things that are really personal to me were something that I really wanted to create, something that was so simple, so clear, and such a step-by-step process that anyone could understand it. And I feel I have done something in that area.
Absolutely. It's such a wonderful book.